Hello. So I'm filming this on the 24th. So if I, at some point, I'm wearing a different, not this dress, because let's talk about this dress. It's Star Wars. It makes me very happy. Anyway, uh, if if I'm at some point wearing a different dress, and that's why. It's because I will have read another book that's not in this stack. We're gonna go with this stack in the least rated to most rated. And some of you might immediately know what's on the top because of the fact that it's a straight edge. And the reason I'm filming this today on the 24th of January is because tomorrow I have an appointment with the local bookstore to get rid of some books. And two of these books will not be in my collection. Hopefully. One of them not because I didn't like, but because I realized that like it's a duology and I'm not interested enough or invested enough to pick up a second book. So I'm just not gonna keep it. And the other one because it hurt my soul. Also there's a book that I read that's not here and I will get to that. Actually there's actually two books. Apparently. Sorry, I like only looked at one. I have a spreadsheet and for some reason I only looked at the fiction and forgot that I read two nonfiction. I knew I read one. But for some reason I forgot the other one. I don't know why. But anyway, so these are the fiction that I read, and we'll briefly talk about the nonfiction. Actually, I might as well now. I read 70 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. I have very mixed emotions and feelings about that book. And honestly, at some point, I will make that into some video. It may be a while, because I want to do some, like, research to figure out why that book rubs me the wrong way. I want to outline my thoughts better. I did a video where I talked about it while I was still reading it, and it summarized my thoughts pretty well, but, like, I feel like I could lay out my thoughts better in less, like, a, like, ranty way, and more of a, like, constructive criticism of terror spaces. So, the other nonfiction book that I read was America the Book by The Daily Show. And the reason I decided not to grab it, is because this is from The Daily Show, like, in the early 2000s. Back when, like, Samantha Bee was still on, John Oliver, Stephen Colbert, obviously, Jon Stewart was still the host. And so it's funny, but it's also, like, so outdated. Like, it's very much a product of its time, and, like, reading it, 20 years later was interesting and funny, but also, like, kind of sad at just, like, how much, when you're reading it and you're like, oh, how quaint. I wish that I could go back. Obviously I was like in middle school, but I'm like, oh man, it's so quaint. Could we go back to to George W. Bush Jr. levels of Republican politics? I would take that back in a heartbeat right now, and that's depressing. Because that man's a war criminal. I mean, granted, most US presidents are, but like, that's a whole other. We're just gonna leave that there. We're not gonna touch that further. Anyways, let's talk about books. The fiction book specifically. So, in last place, we have Assistant to the Villain. Now, no shade, no hard feelings for this creator, the author of this book. I like her. I like her sketches on TikTok. It's why I bought the book. However, the way I describe this book is like reading fan fiction, except not in the same way that like Ali Hazelwood is like reading fan fiction, but in the you read all the tags, thought this is gonna scratch an itch that I have deeply in my soul because I read the tags and I know what's happening. Like I know this is just gonna fit a vibe that I want, and then you read it and the writing's kind of terrible, and you keep reading it thinking maybe it'll save itself at some point and like redeem it, and it didn't. It's, again, I like the concept. I really do. I just feel like it could have been so much better executed, and I feel like I've read better executions of it in fanfic. So that's sort of my thoughts. Next we have A Magic Steeped in Poison, by Jodi Eilen. I like the concept of this. I really do. I love the sort of I love the magic system. I love the idea of like food as magic, right? Like obviously, my roommate's a kitchen witch. I like that idea. I liked the idea of a sort of YA dystopian novel not taking place in like a dystopian part of America. Like it's not a dystopian novel, it's more of a fantasy, but like I don't know, it gives me the same vibes as like a like dystopian book from like 10 years ago. But like I didn't care for any of the characters. The writing in places just didn't work for me. But I like this as a concept. I really truly did like this as a concept. But yeah, this was fine, right? Like I didn't dislike it, but like I was hoping for more is kind of where I sort of landed, which is why I'm not thinking book 2. Next we have, so this author is like a staple for me in the sense that like I have a small collection of hers. However, none of her books that I've read so far, and I'm going through her backlog a little bit. So granted, she's definitely come a long way as a writer because no book in her that I've read so far by her has filled the same hole in my heart that the Queering Principles of Kit Webb. Wow. Okay. Kit Webb did. And that is Kate Sebastian. This is Two Rogues Make a Right. This is the third in the Seducing Sidwick trilogy. They're all like very self-contained stories. They just happen to be like the same brothers are the ones being romanced. And each book like focuses on a different brother. Basically is what happens. Anyway, these are historical romances. Typically all of her books are acrylic, in the sense that they are two men. My one complaint is that yes, I love the fact that she writes like just absolutely cute, charming, happy ending romance books about queer people. However, I had to take a small weird issue with the fact that she's not herself queer in any way. But again, I like these books. They're cute. They're like it's like to me it's a book equivalent like a Hallmark movie. For me personally, like it's just something that I just kind of need every once in a while. Which is why I have a couple of her books. But again, none of her books to me have lived up to Kit Webb so far. I have a couple more that I want to get to definitely, but like, you know, to me this is just pure fluff, and I'm here for it. Next we have my most read author for the last 3 years. That is Katee Robert. This is The Hunt on Darkwater. Is this my favorite Katee Robert book? No. Is this my favorite book within this world? No. I think I might have liked it more had I not started it during a bit of a reading slump. I think that like I like the ideas. I like the introduction of the oh gosh. The like Cowan? I don't actually know how to say it. Because I've only read it, obviously. But I like the concept of like this sort of vaguely religious zealot-y group. It makes sense in this world. This takes place in the same universe as her Deal with the Devil series and Deal with the Demon series, and also the oh my gosh, Bloodline trilogy, which is now published as a single hardback. I think it's a hardback. It may be a paperback. Don't quote me on this. I have all 3 as individual books. So, but yeah, this was fun. This is definitely this is a start to a new series from her. That's like pirates. And it takes place in like a fantasy world. And I really liked a lot of the concepts. I liked like a lot of. I definitely think that like part of it has to do with the fact that I did start reading this during a reading slump. And normally her books are what get me out of reading slumps. So like that was a little bit weird that I couldn't just like push myself through it. But But yeah, I'm excited to see where the rest of the series goes. I think we're getting 2 more of this series this year. But yeah, well, we'll see. I don't yet have Midnight Ruin, because I'm part of Patreon, and so I'm still waiting for my copy to arrive. Supposedly, this week or next week, hopefully. Like, the thing is because it's traditionally published, it's this time it's being sent directly from the publishers. So I don't have a tracking for it. So I know, who knows where it is. Then this was actually the first book that I finished this year. Can we talk about these edges? So this was the moment where there won Christmas for me. This was a gift from my brother. So this is The Haunting of Hill House, by Shirley Jackson. This is the Penguins Horror Collection edition. This is one of 6 books that got these fancy hardcovers. And they were chosen, the 6 that were part of this collection, were chosen by Guillermo del Toro. When I tell you that I screamed when I saw this, that my brother had gotten me this, and that this existed, because I actually didn't know this existed, delighted. I really enjoyed this. I will say, if you've seen the Netflix adaptation, it's an adaptation. Very few things are the same, except for some character names. And so that was weird and interesting, because I watched the Netflix one in October of last year. But also, this is not my favorite Shirley Jackson novel. I would definitely say that I prefer We've Always Lived in the Castle, but I liked this. This was good. And then probably my favorite romance book that I read this year, and this was another one that I started last year, but then fell into reading slump, so I didn't finish until this year, and this is A Long Time Dead, Sapphic Vampires. Historical romance, Sapphic Vampires. Also, just, like, the prose in here is so, like, absolutely gorgeous and, like, beautiful. And I'm definitely gonna, she has another book, and I'm definitely gonna pick it up. It's really interesting. So this is by, Samar Beginker. I may not be pronouncing that right, and I'm so sorry. So before her 2 novels, she was actually, like, a, reporter. Hang on. Yeah, journalist. And you can just tell, like, her appreciation for the written word, and, like, just the prose in here is gorgeous. Definitely my favorite book so far that I've read this year, without question. And I definitely am going to pick up her other novel, which is Walk Between Worlds. I feel like she's gonna probably end up being, like, an instant buy author for me. Absolutely loved it. So good. And that is, as of right now, what I read this month. For some reason, it's either letting me, there we go. Ha! Joke's on me. I read 3 books between when I filmed that other part and when I am filming this on the 30th. I'm not going to finish another book. I definitely won't. Because the book that I'm currently reading, In the Hands of Dante, I'm only 39% of the way through, and I don't hate myself enough to try to push through more of it tonight. It's bad. I know that I said earlier in this video that reading Assistant to the Villain hurt my soul. At least I will forget lines from that book. Unfortunately, there are actual, like, words that were written in this book that will haunt me for the end of time. And I will talk about that in February when I do this same video. But dear God, the fact that it's getting a movie adaptation is not surprising, but bewildering. Now, will I be seeing the film adaptation? Yes, I will. Thank you for asking. And you're thinking to yourself, Caitlin, if you hate this book, why are you going to film adaptation? Oscar Isaac. Enough said. I'm such a problem. Anyway, not gonna talk about a book. Look, I will talk about more about In the Hands of Dante whenever I finish it, which will probably be in February. So look forward to that mess in my February video. Anyway, I finished 3 more books in the last, I think I filmed that video on the 20th, I think I said on the 24th. So that, just casually. One of them I'm actually very glad to be done with because, I've been reading it slowly for the last year and a half, I think. Maybe not quite, I don't know. least year. But we'll start the one that I'm have physically because I was lazy and didn't want to get the other one out and was a PDF. And that is Cartomancy and Folk Magic, playing cards, Marseille Tarot in Divination, Magic, and Folklore by Roger J. Horn. This is the second edition, which is expanded upon, which, like, this is already a very thin volume, so I can't imagine that how much smaller the second one, the first version was, if this is the revised extended edition. This is so good. So good. I am so glad that this was a gift for my birthday, from my roommate, who I adore. I'm so glad to have this. I actually, if you see this before this is probably going to come out before my tarot video. Probably not. I don't know. This may or not. You'll know that I am going to be working with this book a lot in February. Anyway, I'm working this book in February. This will be sitting out here, because I want to reference, it, because I want to work with the Jane Austen tarot, that is a mix of playing card, and tarot. So I want to work with that. And so I'm going to have this just as a guidebook, basically, instead of using the guidebook that comes with. I mean, I might still pull it out, but I'm not 100% sure where it is right now. I've misplaced it because I was using it for Pathfinder, but not the point. So I read that, and I really like this. Like I said, if you're looking for, like, a good introduction to numerology, to Marseille, playing cards, I think this is a really solid option. And again, it's, like, just shy. It's just a little bit more than 200 pages, and that's with the bibliography and for the reading. So it's a really quick, easy little thing. Speaking of quick, little, easy things, I also read, sorry, I'm pulling up the name of it again because my brain's a little fried. Galantina by Madeline Miller. This is a short story that is, oh my gosh. Why am I blanking? Yeah, so this is the story of oh my gosh. It's Madeline Miller. It's a Greek retelling, and I cannot think of the names of the characters right now, specifically him, and I don't know why my brain's blanking on it. But yeah, this is literally, like, just a short story. It is literally 57 pages, read in one sitting. Really liked it. Wish it was a little bit longer, or I also feel like I didn't. The other thing is I knew a little about Smith going in, so, like, but not enough to, like, really have, like, a strong sense of certain things. But also, this thing is very short, both in terms of length, but also, like, book size. So, like, there's very little text on each page, and so sometimes my brain has, like, a little bit of trouble with that. I don't know why, but yeah. The other book that I read was, oh my gosh, sorry for the loud cookies, because I'm going to forget this. Magic: A Theory from the South. This is a translated, I read the translation, I believe, yeah, definitely did. This is why did I forget the term? Anyway, this is a anthropology book about, Italian folk magic. The problem is that I've been spoiled and that I've read, oh gosh, I think it's like, there's a book about, I think it's called New World Witchery. If it's not, I will have the actual title in the description because I'm too tired and fried to think of it right now. And it's read last year, I think, or the year before, I don't even remember. But that's an anthropology book that also was written by, like, people who practice, and so it's this really nice mix of, like, here's where this comes from, and here's why it was done, with, like, and here's kind of how you can use it if you want. Whereas this is just, like, very much, like, here's what they did. Which is not, like, a bad thing necessarily, but, like, it's written in a way that I found completely unhelpful. I don't know. I feel like I just got spoiled by that book, and also a couple other, like, more, like, I think I wanted it to have more, like, practical application for witchcraft, and not just to be an anthropology book. I don't know. This came recommended by other Italian folk other people that practice Italian folk magic, and I thought that I would get more out of it than I did. But it wasn't bad. I think expectations didn't meet where I wanted. But so those are the other 3 books that I read in January. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you hopefully in the next video. Bye!